No, I can
Some
completely
streamers and all
understand
hanging
this.
behind.
Venki, I'm as nervous as Venki is right now. All right, so we
Streamers
are
gone.
live. Okay, great. So, welcome everyone to the first Heart to Heart with the Hive. And for this first Heart to Heart, we have veteran authors whose names also start with the letter V. All right, Varadaraman Ramesh and Venkatraman Ganesh. Okay, both your names. Now that I say them
It
next
sort
to
of
each other,
rhymes,
they
right?
sound like,
It sort
yeah,
of
it
rhymes.
rhymes and it's a tongue twister. Okay, all right.
Not everyone has
So,
like short catchy names like L and P.
well, it's not. It's an open secret. My name is Lakshmi
I
Priya
know.
Pandurangan. So,
Yeah, so you're one of us.
yeah. I just try to make it sound like a pseudonym, cool pseudonym. All
Right.
right. So we have 8 people live who are watching us. So
Okay.
hi everybody. Okay.
Hi, the 8 poor souls what who have nothing better to do on a Saturday morning other than to watch us.
at their
And
own peril.
we have
Yes,
nothing better to do on a Saturday morning than to go live.
we are selling
Yeah.
something.
Okay. So and for the benefit of so we had one person actually left, but you know because they realized they had something better to do. Okay. So
30 seconds is actually quite rapid for time to have had enough, So it's an achievement for us.
correct. Okay, now, for the benefit of those who are watching us, Varad has some 4 stellar stories that he submitted in our previous anthologies. And I'm sure you remember him with his story in Route 13. Old MacDonald had a farm, and it really made me question my friendship with Varad, to be honest. Who is this human behind this author that I'm friends with? And then ABCD in, Blood Runs Cold, a brilliant thriller with a twist ending, which honestly, somebody who's a voracious reader in thrillers, I did not see it coming, right? And of course, table
Okay.
number 9, which makes you start question your life choices. And finally, this contemporary romance, an illusion called Love in #love, which is you know and I think that's the best part, right? It is a contemporary romance. It does not end with a happily ever after. It just ends with 2 people who are very similar to each other, kindred souls connecting and seeing how it goes from there off, right?
Right.
And of
Yeah.
course, over to Venki. He made me champion the guy who wanted to kill Murakami in Route 13. Like,
Yeah.
a part of me
Yeah. I
actually
think if you
hoped.
remember,
Yeah, yeah, go on.
if you remember, I think Venki had submitted that story somewhere in around midnight. And early morning, I woke up at 5 o'clock and started reading the story. And then I went crazy. I started pinging you guys like, guys, you read this, you read this. This has
Yeah,
to be read ASAP. It was so
yeah.
mind
Bharat was like,
blowing.
"What have he written?"
The whole premise of it.
Absolutely,
I,
absolutely.
I myself am come to grips with what I have written. Either it was, I don't know, it might have been so ridiculous or ludicrous, in fact.
Venki, you're very humble. Or if there is another word, a better word for humble, we can use that
Always,
as well.
always.
Yes, absolutely. And then, of course, BRC and Tea with a Drop of Honey, Venki was absolutely silent, although we were all hoping that he submit something. And the next submission came in #love, where,
Right.
which is another contemporary romance. Of course, it's, it's not a very happy ending, but it's very similar to the way things are right now, especially with millennials and with the way the world is and everything. So, and in fact, Bharat, before you joined, we were just talking about how authentic the story is, how it is not, this whole thing of this guy and him pining for the woman that he loves, and at the same time there is thunderstorm and rain outside, and the whole mood and the atmosphere was so beautifully built through the story, right? So of course, since this particular interview is talking about #love, and I don't know why we did not do this earlier for other books, but now that we've started, let's continue this trend. Is a question for both of you, right? When we announced that the next anthology is going to be romance, right? What was your first thought, about submitting the story and everything, or, the fact that will you even submit for a romance anthology? And if you are submitting, what kind of story would you submit? How did that whole process happen?
Okay, for me especially, when I heard that the theme was going to be romance, I said, oh, that's it. I am toast. There goes another chance of me submitting a story even, because romance for me is what the rays of the sun are for a vampire, I'm so bad at that. So I said, okay, there goes my chances. Okay, let me wait for the next anthology, and maybe there would be a theme which would be to my suiting. So then I can submit one. But then I tried to test myself, let's say, try to attempt my hand at, okay, this genre as well. And there goes, I submitted one. But even now, I think that when evaluated against all the other brilliant stories in the book, Rain is a story written in vain. So that's how I would like to think. But anyway, I submitted one.
No, what I liked about Venki's story, it doesn't, it's not pretentious. It's just matter of fact. That's how it is. The contemporary romance, as you said, it doesn't like faff about. It doesn't, involve like this fluffy, curly descriptions and stuff. It's to the point. It deals more with the emotions rather than like the description of the emotions. So in that sense, I don't think why Venki is trying to sell his story so short.
Absolutely, absolutely.
The very fact that there was a story coming out of my pen was a miracle, considering the theme.
So
And
I
Bharat, have
think
you noticed?
the story is actually a really good. Sorry?
Have you noticed how
Sorry?
Venki, when talking to Venki, his language is not thesaurus?
Yeah. It's only his
Right?
pen, which is, I think it has an inbuilt thesaurus or something like
It's
that.
magical. Yeah.
Yeah. Or Venki has
It
to, switch that button on when he's talking. Like, Venki, can you go to Venki Tarur mode?
or Venkisaurus.
Venki Tarur.
Yeah, Venki Tharoor. Absolutely. Okay, over to you, Bharat. What was your process?
Yeah, see, coming to the question, it had to be romance, right? Horror's done, thriller's done. Then we went for feel good. Then we had to take it. It's like if you have like -2, -1, 0, 1, 2 in the scale, we have been traveling from here to here. So obviously it had to be romance. And yeah, I thought like, okay, I've tried these three genres. Why not romance also? And it's not like the first time I'm writing romance. I've dabbled with it before, so it was not something like a very new for me. So it worked out well, I hope.
Yeah, absolutely. And, in fact, the one thing that I observed in almost all the stories in #love, of course, some stories had happier endings, some stories had slightly sad endings, but, the one thing that I observed is none of the stories promised a happily ever after.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
And I am so proud of the fact that every single one of the stories in #love is, even if it is, your paranormal romance, fantasy, any one of those, is steeped in reality, in the current
Yes,
context
it's very
of what
grounded.
love and
It's very
romance.
grounded.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely,
It's
absolutely.
more it's more realistic, I feel, and
Yes.
it
Yes.
steers away from a trope which has been driven to the extent that it is more than even stale.
Absolutely true. Yeah. Completely agree with you guys on that. Okay, so over to my next question. One other story from the anthology that and of course all the stories are really good. I'm sure all three of us have read all the stories, but one other story which um, left a lasting impression on you.
Vicky, you want to go first?
Okay, sure. For me, it was, although the whole collection is astounding, the one story which impressed me the most was Shree's story. I'm sorry, forgive me for not remembering the title. She has done a stupendous job of conflating the supernatural with the sensual. So that actually left an indelible impact on me. So that was one story which I loved reading and reading again. Even though there have been 3 or 4 more which piqued my curiosity, like say for Varad's story, the illusion, the travails and tumult of the magician at a wedding with a slobber knocker of an ending. That was one thing which really impressed me, and Priya's Padmini as well. It's so simple yet so profound when you look at Padmini. And of course, as I have always been saying, LP. As a writer, I admire LP because she does something which I have always wanted to do, but I have never mustered enough courage to do. She writes in a very unhinged, untrammeled, and unfettered manner. It's always her writing. It's always raw, and it's as though she writes for herself more than writing for anybody. I don't think she masks her feelings, or her pen does not cater to any particular audience. That's what I feel. I hope one day I can also emulate her and write like her. So yeah, so these are the 4 stories, and yet another story would be the Daffodils of Yorkshire Moors. That was very poignant. That was a very poignant story. Yeah.
Absolutely, I agree with everything that you have to say, and I mean, I'm obviously not talking about what you said about my story, because right now I'm completely gushing and I'm at a loss for words, and I think my 2021 is going to be on cloud nine after your testimony, right? But I agree with all the stories that you spoke about. I think each and every one of the stories that has very carefully been curated to be a part of hashtag love, and of course, there's been a lot of back end work that has gone into it. A lot of work that has back and forth with the authors on editing and discussing the storylines and the structure and everything. There's been tremendous amount of effort that has gone in there to ensure that this is not just another anthology of love. It has to be more than your teenage love. It has to be something much more deeper than that.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Varad, over to you.
Yeah, I have 3 stories. I'm obviously not picking the stories of the guys who I know they can write well, because I'm very aware of their writing prowess and their field of work. These 3 stories for these authors I've read for the first time, and typical, literally my mind was blown. First one was You Just Can't End Love by Janani Balaji. Yeah, for a teenager to write a profound story, with the depth of emotions she has handled in that story, it's amazing. It didn't feel like a 15-year-old writing the story. It was a very mature. The writing was very mature. It was amazing. That's surefire pick for one of my favorite stories in the book.
Yeah,
And the
totally agree.
second,
That was punching beyond one's weight. That was it is
absolutely,
commendable.
yeah. And the second one I would say is The Cage by Shweta Mathur Nagpal. Uh, very heavy story. They're very dark. The whole premise, it's like, what if you take a complete dystopian society where even the choice of falling in love is being controlled, and to build a story from that particular premise, it was beautifully done, very hard hitting, and the end was like, it was perfect, but it was very heavy also. It's another wonderful story. That's
That
number
that that
two.
I think had shades of Margaret Atwood, is it not?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, it was
Although
very
if it
handmade,
was
and
me,
yeah,
yeah,
the vibe was there.
yeah.
It's good.
When I read
If
that
somebody's
story, sorry, Bharat. When I read that story, I was like, the ending, oh God, I would have had bloodshed, but this is so subtle
yeah.
and so beautiful, right? Okay, sorry, I disturbed you. Go on. Okay. All right. So,
Yeah.
over to the next question. Okay. Now,
Hey, I have one more pick here. I haven't told my third pick here.
okay, go. I had asked for one pick,
Sorry,
but
I think
clearly
we were.
nobody listens to me. So go on.
It's too tough to choose one.
No, why pick one? Why pick one when you can pick three? That's my logic always.
Go on.
Okay,
Go on.
that third one is third one is Alpana Sharma's of Forbidden Flowers and Frontiers. That story was again. Yeah, I think there is a theme. I'm picking all little dark stories. Say something about me than the stories itself, I
I guess that encapsulates the ABCD of you.
think. uh, yeah,
Absolutely.
I tend to go over to the darker side. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's all. These three stories, on the first read, they have left a very lasting impression on me. So and kudos to the writers. You guys have done an amazing job.
Absolutely. Completely agree with you on that, Bharat. Um,
Mm,
Back to your stories, right?
mm.
And so I'll, start with Bharat. Your titular character, um,
Yeah.
the the magician, right?
Mm.
That was such a beautifully crafted character, Bharat. What made made him into a magician? He could be I mean, he could have been a singer, he could have been a performer, but he was a magician. He was a poor magician struggling to make it work. And the saddest part was, him being at that wedding. It broke my heart when that thing was revealed, right? So how
Mm.
did you come up with those characters? I mean, and especially the magician. What was the thought process behind it?
Because I met him long ago. It was at one of my relative kid's birthday party. It was not a wedding. So there was this magician who was called to perform, and he went through what my protagonist goes through in the story. No one paid attention to it. Everybody were into their own business, chatting, having coffee, queuing up for dinner, talking gossips, youngsters flirting. All these were children screaming and running around. All these things were happening. The poor guy was standing on the stage trying to perform, and literally he was begging people to pay attention to him. He was literally telling Matar Bedi, please Illinois. So he was begging, he was screaming for attention. No one gave him the attention. And the poor guy cut his show short. Like, it was supposed to be a 45-minute show, he cut it at 20 minutes. And then it was actually very sad to look at that guy. And then he was sitting in the buffet area. He was sitting there all alone with a plate, and he was eating while things were going around him. So actually, that one image of him sitting alone and eating from a plate, it had a very lasting impression on me. And this was many years ago. I think 6, 7 years ago. I hadn't started writing then, but wanted to write a story. That image came out of some deep corner of my mind, and I thought, okay, why not use that image and build a story from there? You change the setting. Instead of a birthday party, what if the same guy, you put him in a wedding situation, and in the wedding of his ex, no less. So that's what I tried, and worked the story around that.
I can totally relate to this, Varat, because I also have experienced this at a kid's birthday party, in fact. So I think in order to crimp on cost, they just called an amateur magician. And as you said, people were paying such scant attention to that poor fellow. And the most saddest bit of it was most of the tricks which he tried to pull off didn't come out. Okay, he failed miserably in pulling off his tricks as well. And as you rightly said, nobody was giving a damn to him. People were doing their own bit, they were doing their own thing. Then there was a rush when dinner was announced. And it was very pathetic to see this man who is sincerely trying to earn a living and yet being ignored by all. And he just quietly slouched in a corner, finished his dinner, and then bid goodbye, I think, after collecting what would have been a very sparse remuneration as well. So I could also relate to this. So yeah, it's a wonderfully captured story.
Thank you, Venki.
So as a mother to a growing boy, there have been 2 occasions of birthday parties where we've called in magicians, right? And while you guys were talking about, I was like, did I do something like this to them? Did I disrespect their art? Did I disrespect their skills? And I do recall that one of the things that we would do is make sure all the kids sit. We are all there, right? And definitely there are these some smart Alex who will be like, oh, I know how you did this trick, I know, and all that.
Yeah.
So I have a habit of telling them to just sit down and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right.
They will scream sleight of hand, and things like that. Stupid.
Absolutely. And and it's not just, I think it is art as such, which is so underrated. When you go to these restaurants and pubs where they're performing live music. In fact, recently I went to one, and there was a solo singer, this young girl, and she was playing a beautiful collection of alternative rock. And that too from late 2000s. Something which even when I was young, I used to love that entire playlist. I still have the entire playlist, and I was the only one listening to it and clapping after every single song was over. Exactly, and the thing is that this shouldn't stop them. This is their talent. This is what they want to do. Whether it is stand-up comedians, whether it is magicians, whether it is singers, I think we should change. We should respect that art. We should give them the appreciation that is due.
True. Very true.
At least if you cannot accord their admiration, at least refrain from insulting.
Absolutely. I completely agree, right? Wonderful. So, Venki, over to you. What is your process for fleshing out the characters, especially fleshing out the characters for Rain?
Oh, to be very honest, absolutely clueless. I don't know what comes first. When all these when questions are asked, okay, whether the plot comes first or the story comes first or the character comes first, I don't even know who comes first and who goes last. So it's all. I think it's just a convergence. So in Rain, I just thought about a guy who gets to the ultimate stage of reconciliation through a very cathartic process. Because whether I know not whether he knows he would be futile in his endeavor, whether he would get what he wants, and it's more likely than not that he himself is torn in his mind as to whether he would accomplish what he is setting out to achieve. That he can find out only by taking the plunge. And taking the plunge itself, although it seems such an easy thing to just switch on your phone and then just make the call, it's not as easy as it sounds. It's not as easy as it seems. So I just wanted to not embellish, supplement that feeling with even more morose environment like your thunderstorm, rain, a dark, damp atmosphere kind of thing, which would make this person's process all the more difficult, the rigors all the more exacting, so that when he comes out of it, he comes out as a better man and with a more stellar character. That was the process.
Right. You know what, Venki, you remind me of when we were in school and college, right? There are these kids who would always be like, I have not studied it all, I have not studied it all, I don't know what I'll do. And yet they will get 98% in their exams.
Venki is an auditor. Obviously, he's that type of person only.
I don't think that's me.
No, that's exactly you. I don't know what comes first. I don't know whether it is plot or character, but my stories are fabulous.
98 might be.
He's a chartered accountant, no? It's not
98.
98, 99.
No. Varad, 98 might be relevant, but only thing is, it would be either the 9 or the 8, but not in tandem.
Yeah, I like the imagery in the Venki's story. There's a talk of at one point he talks about a pub opposite to his this guy's balcony, which is the pub is actually referred to for two times. Once it's as desolate as this guy is feeling in his mind, how he is like, because of the rain, nobody is there, no patrons are there. The club is like all empty and desolate. And then once the rain, peters out, the club starts getting filled out, and this guy is still, in the same morose mindset. So it's a brilliant juxtaposition of two different images, which enhances this guy's what he's going through. Okay, there is a change in the other thing, but he is still there at the same spot. It's no, when you go, it's something like cut chewing. You read the story, and then few days later you think about it, and then you actually get things which you wouldn't have got during the first or even the second reads.
I agree. It leaves a very lasting impact, and
Okay, Venki is,
even though the
frame is frozen.
Is it? No, but is it frozen? I don't think so.
Venki sitting still and listening to you.
That's called fear.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, Bharat is absolutely right, Venki. I think your stories, be it Killing Murakami or Rain, have left a lasting impact, at least on me, and I can say almost everybody in Hive, and we value your work. We have tremendous respect for the kind of work that you do. Okay, so I think Bharat has a technical issue.
Yes. I think he is trying to rejoin. He's back.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we have two Bharats now.
And he also has a doppelganger along with him.
The doppelganger is still loading.
What's that? Okay, there are two of me. How will the world survive? Yeah.
Okay, so I will move on to the next question. Something that I have asked myself a lot, and in fact, in the Hive also we discussed this a lot, and all of us are flummoxed by this, and that is, why do you think romance as a genre is so popular, not just in India, but across the globe? Any one of you can start.
I would leave this completely to Bharat.
Okay. I haven't read much romance. I have read one book so far. That's Love Story. I haven't read much of romance. But what, with my from my discussions with my wife, my sister, and other people, other friends, bloggers, I feel like romance gives this sort of escapism from the real life. It's like, okay, for some time you can just forget what crap is happening around and just escape into a world where there is nothing as bad as reality. And end of the day, everything is going to end well. So there is a closure. maybe I might be completely off the track here, and I might be completely wrong. But what I feel, this might be the reason why romance actually, it sells a lot and it has a lot of takers for it.
I absolutely concur, and also I feel that yet another reason could be that it is one subject which is most amenable to personal experience. So whether it be whether the ultimate outcome of the tryst, what I call, whether it is a bed of roses or a crown of thorns, but still everyone would have gone through it. So everyone can relate to it, and it transcends time as well. It is not just for, let's say, the present; it's for the present, past, as well as the future. So I guess it is more of this personal equation which provides a linkage to the subject, which makes it evergreen.
Absolutely. I think Venki has hit the nail on the head. Not everybody can, have the personal experience of killing Murakami. So,
Yes, so then we can romanticize about it.
yes.
Right. So this actually brings me beautifully to the next question, which is
Okay.
what is the craziest thing that you have done in the name of love?
Okay.
This was going to be a heart to heart with the authors, okay? So there had to be personal questions.
Venki, you can go first. Let me
Okay,
think
mine
what is
is
the
very
craze.
easy. Mine is very simple, very fundamental. Writing a story for the Hive. That is the singularly most romantic thing that I've ever pulled off. It's a feat in my life. So I think that says a lot about my life itself. But yeah.
Right.
Craziest
Anything
thing.
apart from that, Venki?
Yeah, craziest thing,
Yeah,
Venki. Crazy. Go crazy.
absolutely crazy.
You,
I'm sure you've done a lot of crazy stuff. Maybe,
you,
done her
you,
auditing and taxes and everything.
in between the craziest stuff of audit and taxes, I don't think I found time to explore the other element of this craziness. So not
Right.
much actually. Yeah, it's very bland, insofar as my interest with this subject is concerned. So I guess, yeah, hands down, the craziest thing that I've ever attempted, the temerity that I've had to attempt anything bordering on the ridiculous, is writing a story for the Hive.
Okay,
Venki can become a good
now,
politician. He's not taking the
absolutely
bait.
very good. Yeah, very good politician. And finally, a word that I don't know the meaning of, temerity. So now Venki Saurus is coming into action.
That moniker makes me sound like a relic, which I am.
Monica, second one. I'm counting now. All right, over to you, Bharat.
Craziest thing I have done in the name of love, not for my love, for someone else's. Yeah. Yeah. Because whatever love I've had in my life has been like, all goody goody nice things in life, all the sweet things that's happened in my life. But the craziest thing is like happened during when I was doing my engineering. So yeah, it is filmy. But that's the craziest thing I have done. I went and beat up another guy for somebody else's love, and I got suspended for from the college. So that's the craziest thing I have done. And yeah, that's not for my love, it's for someone else's.
You're one of those people, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
one
mean,
of
we
those
have,
people.
we've also done that in college for our friends. लड़की को घर से भगा के ले जाना and
Yeah,
everything.
but one thing I would like to tell, those two actually went on to get married and they are still together. It's been
So it
around
was
20
worth it.
years now. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was worth it. Yeah, 15
yeah,
days.
yeah.
What is 15 days in, put against a lifetime of, marital bliss for those two?
Yeah. This is like bang for every buck, Every blow was worth it.
Yeah. I didn't get beaten, so I beat the guy up. So it was worth it only.
All right, perfect. So, Venki, and in fact, this is a question that I had decided I will ask you, right? When I was in college, I was in Mumbai, and you know, uh, as writers, right from the time we're kids, we have a special affinity to the language, right? And we do tend to use those that language when we speak, when we talk, when we converse. So even at that point of time, I had, I mean, not like you, of course, but I had the kind of language which was slightly above the rest of my friends. So at one point of time, this was first year of college, I used the term hilarious. Oh, this is hilarious. So the rest of my, 5 years, which is junior college and graduation, my name had become Hilarious Priya. Right? Because they found that term, the fact that I used hilarious, so hilarious that they named me Hilarious Priya, right? So, Vicky, what has been your experience, growing up and with your affinity towards the language? Has there been any point of time where you faced situations like this in school or college?
Actually, it's been the exact opposite. I faced a very embarrassing situation. So my language was nothing to gloat about till such time I was in BCom even or PUC. Okay, there was this. I have always been an introvert in college, so I used to keep to myself. There was this gang of us, five or six friends who we were very close. We used to travel together by bus, and we used to stay within the vicinity of each other and things like that. So one day it was this friend's birthday. So then a group of people gathered, they congregated, and then said, "Hey, it's your birthday, so please tell us when are you going to treat us?" My language was so pathetic. I didn't even know what was the meaning of the word treat. Okay. So I just blurted out in spontaneous fashion, "Hey guys, what do you mean by treat?" And then the response which I got almost induced me to well up, because they said, "Oh, you don't even know the meaning of treat. Oh, look at this fellow, he doesn't know English." And then I walked off in a huff. Then afterwards, I realized that if everybody has an issue with me, then the problem does not lie with them. There is something which is rudimentary that I have not picked up. So there is a vast scope of improvement, and there is something in me which has to improve. Then I just went to the library and then got this, I don't know, that book. I think it was the circumference of the book was wider than my tummy. So I think it was the unabridged Cambridge Dictionary, I think. So I just got the dictionary. I perused the dictionary page to page, cover to cover. Although none of it stuck, then I started experimenting with books. So that was how I started reading, and let alone writing. Writing came much, much later, and even now I don't think I write as much, and my writing is not as proficient or as prolific as yours. So this was the thing. So thankfully, although I was not referred to by any name or adjective, yeah. So this is how it is. That was a lesson for me.
So it took a treat for you to make a treat of a writer. That was bad.
If I had said it, people would have called dad jokes.
Yeah. Although it was a treat, it was definitely not served on a platter.
Yeah, that's better. That is so much better. Bharat, over to you. Any such language or literary related incidents from your childhood?
Nothing much. I used to, always go to the school library. There was a small room which had like one cupboard full of books, and there used to be a table on which the librarian used to keep like 10, 15 books whenever our library period was there, and we had to select one of those. So I soon discovered that the cupboard in behind the table had much more interesting books than the ones this guy was picking out for us. So I went and irritated my class teacher so much. She told the librarian, "You give whatever book this guy wants, he'll read."
Let me guess, it
So
was Lolita.
no. It was all this one, fairy tales from the Soviet Union. There was this publisher called Raduga Publishers from Soviet Union. In the 80s, I think they used to publish most of the books from Soviet Union. They were very
Yes.
famous.
And they used
Did
to
it
have
have these glossy papers?
Yes,
Like
yes, and
beautiful
hardbound.
glossy
Each
paper.
book will be
Yeah,
hardbound.
hardbound. Yes. Even I read those. Yeah.
yes, and they used to conduct book exhibitions as well.
Mhm.
Correct. Absolutely.
So that and the first book I read was Oliver Twist. Believe it or not, I think I was 8 or 9 at that time, and I read the unabridged full version.
Oh,
I didn't
no,
under.
no, no wonder you keep asking for more.
At least I don't have a bowl in my hands.
All right.
Yeah, so
So we have, sorry, Bharat, we have 3 more
yeah,
minutes to go for the
yeah.
45-minute interview to get done.
Mhm.
One question that, of course, it's, well, given at the Hive, we have 4 different genres that we've attempted so far of anthologies, starting from horror to, thriller to uh, heartwarming in stories and tea with a drop of honey, and then finally romance. Which one of the genres was most enjoyable for you to write?
Thriller.
Horror.
ABC. Horror for you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Thriller for
Okay,
me.
perfect. So we're collectively saying we are not doing a romance for a while now.
Yeah, we have to go back to our roots.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, some of the genres that you really enjoy reading, of course, right now we just spoke about writing, some of the genres and authors that you really enjoy reading, for both of you,
For me,
anyone
it's
if you can.
thrillers. For me, it's thrillers, good thrillers, like clever whodunits, like which actually challenges the reader. It's not like I'm reading a story, but I'm actually solving a puzzle. I'm solving a mystery. That sort of books I like. And my favorite author is Ian Rankin. Uh,
Perfect.
yeah.
John.
So his
Yeah,
his books are amazing.
yeah. I also feel that John Rebus is one of the most underestimated detective characters ever.
Absolutely.
And I also love the fact that he can never be separated from his whiskey.
Yes. No, it's a flawed character. John Rebus is a flawed character, and Ian Rankin makes no apologies for that. It is what it is. He is what
Yeah.
who he is.
Even Rebus,
Yes,
it's almost as though he prefers to be a fallen genius than a much facilitated investigator.
true, true. There is
Okay, so I haven't
something
read
broken
Ian
about him.
Rankin. Yeah,
Yeah, there is
I
something
haven't read.
broken about him, and he is more comfortable that way. That's that's actually pretty good, and it actually enhances the whole storytelling that Ian Rankin is employing here.
Then Varad, if you like Rankin, right, you must try this Georges Simenon. There is this Inspector Maigret series.
Okay.
I think I have always thought that Rankin derived his inspiration from Simenon. Even in an interview, he said as much that he was also profoundly influenced by the works of Simenon. So there is this Inspector Maigret series, close to 70 books. If you love
Wow.
Rebus, you will adore Maigret.
I'll check that out. I'll check that out immediately. We
I
have
have
20
seen
seconds.
the Migrate series actually, and no, I think
Mhm.
they're done. So I have seen
Uh-huh.
the series, but I'm definitely going to pick both the authors. I haven't read Rankin or George Simmons, so
Mhm.
that's good records. And this is a good place to end the interview, which is records for people to read. right?
Right,
Especially
right.
the thriller. Yeah. And is this also a hint of what's to come from the Hive?
Could be.
All right, wonderful. So, one last statement for people who have read your stories and enjoyed your stories, or people who who are aspiring authors and want to write like you. We'll start with Venki.
First of all, thank you so much for according an opportunity and platform for us to write. And then, okay, in this current digital world or era, I think confidence is all that matters, because we have all the tools at our disposal. And we need not write to please anybody. So anybody who's aspiring to write, just write. Just write whatever it is that you feel, whatever inspires you, whatever you see, sense, and feel. That's it. So if there is constructive criticism, yes, work on it. But please pay two hoots to the words of doomsday prophets and Cassandras. Just write. That's it.
Thank you, Venki. That was wonderful. Bharat, over to you.
Yeah, what Venki said is spot on. But I would like to add one thing. When the whole process of writing is also a whole process of learning. You keep learning as you keep writing. There's something new always to be learned, and only you will discover that only as you keep writing more and more. That I have experienced personally. See, I started writing around 3.5 years ago, and I feel I have improved a lot because I have learned a lot in this journey. So always keep your mind open for learning new things about writing. There are always there is something new. There is a new, literary device, a plot device, something, a new point of view when you write. Be open to experimenting. Try something. Try outside your comfort zone. If you are if you like reading romance, you like writing romance.
Yeah.
Experiment in other genres also. Whether you are going to pursue that on a longer term, that is not the question. But the journey as a writer will get more fulfilled when you experiment more and like you go out of your comfort zone. So that's one thing I would like to share with people.
True, absolutely. And, I think a very critical and very basic aspect that I want to add to what both of you said is read. The more you read, the better
Yeah.
your language becomes, the better your, plots become, the better your experience becomes. It's like Bharat said, his character was completely created through observation. And reading is a form of observation,
Right.
right? And,
Absolutely.
with our limited experience, with our limited social circle, we will not be able to gather those experiences that we gather while we read, and that is very, very critical in getting in making your craft as a writer better.
Very true.
Very
Very true.
very true.
I think even Murphy recognized that when he said you observe a lot by watching.
Absolutely, true. All right, so thank you so much. It was wonderful having you, and this is for everybody who's watching. This is our first live interview. I don't know about Varad and Venki, but this is the first time I'm going live. So,
The very
there
first
was
time I'm going live also.
great. Three peas in a pod, right? So thanks a
Yeah.
lot. It was super fun, and I I wouldn't have dreamt of a better beginning to the weekend than this.
Yeah.
Thank
It's
you.
our pleasure. Thank you. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Pleasure
And
is all mine.
yes, and for everybody, thank you very much for the continuous support you've been, giving us. Your right from when we started with Route 13 and right now till the hashtag love, the community what has come together, with the Hive. It's something unprecedented. This is a community which is based exclusively on merit. There is no favoritisms here. You know, there is a lot of things people are learning from each other, discovering new things, going along. And the support you guys have been giving to our stories, it's amazing. As a writer, what else do we need?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm putting myself in that magician's position. If nobody is reading, what's the point of me writing, right? So thereby I'm like,
Absolutely.
so thereby I'm circling back and getting to my story, which is part of the book #Love. Thank you for reading it. If you haven't read it, go right now, buy it on Amazon and read it.
Yes, yes. Please buy the book and read it. As writers, that is the kind of support that we need. And there's a lot of work that goes into ensure that the stories are entertaining, the stories make sense, and the stories are true to the kind of theme that we want to have in our anthology. All right. Thank you so much, guys.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.
See
Happy
you.
weekend.
You too. Bye.
Happy weekend, guys. Bye.
Bye.